Hey everyone, Andrew here, Melbourne Superman, and I wanted to come on and talk a little bit about something. So, this is a topic that I've wanted to talk about for quite a while, and the sort of reveal of the new Superman suit and David Cornsweat's, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, his sort of physique has brought this to light to me. So, I'm not going to react on the suit itself. I will simply say that I like it. I like the DC 52 kind of era that it's looking like. I might make another video outlining how I feel about it and sort of going over some of the different types of suits that we've seen over the years. But what I want to talk about is his physique. So whenever something like this happens, you see a celebrity transformation, right? It always brings out the people saying, "Oh, of course he can transform his body that way. He's got personal chefs. It's his full-time job. He's got great genetics." So what I wanted to do is talk a little bit about a journey like that. And I want to specifically address the people who say they aren't progressing. And I want to talk about why you might not be progressing in your physical fitness journey. Is it genetics? Maybe. Is it private chefs and the drugs and the steroids? Maybe. But also no. Probably not. Because, for a few different reasons, which I'll go into, but genetics, yes, whilst play a role, are not the be-all, end-all. I will show you some before and after photos of myself during my journey, where you look at that first photo and you're like, wow, that guy would never be ripped. And then you look at that after photo and you're like, wow, that guy's pretty decently cut. Genetics will take you to places, but it doesn't mean that if you don't have the perfect genetics that you won't be able to get to the best possible outcome that you can do for your body. So private chefs and drugs. Oh, I just took my 10,000th step somehow sitting down. Private chefs and drugs. Yeah, of course. Steroids are going to help. They're going to help you recover. They're going to help you build muscle. They're going to help you lose fat. You do have to work when you take them. They are not something that I would ever recommend or ever do because I'm deathly afraid of that stuff. Private chefs, sure, it takes the prep out for them, but at the end of the day, you don't need a private chef to prep your meals. You don't need to have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that you're making every week to eat healthy, right? So I say no to those things. So what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about, I'll be looking at my notes, they're down here. Your fitness journey. Why aren't you seeing the results? Now, this is geared toward the people who want to maybe build muscle, maybe get a little bit leaner, lose fat, not necessarily lose weight, but we'll talk about that as well. But mostly it's about the people who are in the gym not seeing the results that they want to see from the muscle building journey or the fat loss sort of shredding journey that they're on. So the first thing, the basics. Are you getting the basics right? What do I mean by that? What's your technique like? Are you just throwing weights back and forth, just picking up the heaviest thing you can do and just going really fast? Like, what's your technique like? Are you actually doing the exercise in such a way? For example, like a bench press, right? Are you getting that full range of motion, feeling that stretch? That stretch at the bottom of the movement is the most hypertrophic part of that movement, right? It's not necessarily the squeeze, it's this. This is where your muscles are going to tear apart. And because your muscles tear apart, that's why they grow back bigger. So basically, are you getting that full stretch? Are you squeezing the muscle up and holding it at the top? Are you really utilizing to the best of your ability that thing that is going to help you build the muscle? You don't want to rush the movements. Like, it's not sexy to do like slow, controlled movements, but that is where things are going to happen. That's where you're going to get your time under tension. Like, a set of 15 should probably take you at least a minute, minute and a half. Like, if you're doing it right, because that's where you're going to grow. It doesn't matter how much weight you're using. Well, of course it does, it matters. But what matters more is your technique and how you're building that time under tension, how much you're stretching the muscle, how much you're damaging it so that it can grow back. Are you training to failure? Are you truly training to failure? So, training to failure, folks. You don't have to do it every time. I don't train to failure on every set, every exercise. If I'm doing 4 or 5 sets of an exercise, I might train to failure for 2 of those sets. I might all of the sets. But training to failure is exactly that. And most people who say or think they're training to failure aren't. When you physically cannot keep that weight going, that's when I challenge you to do a set of, I don't know, barbell bicep curls to absolute failure. And I guarantee the weight that you think that is going to fail you at 12 reps, you could probably get some more out of. Because if you really go to the point where you absolutely cannot get that weight up, even with a cheat rep, that's failure. That's failure. That's absolute failure. And that is hard. That is hard work. That is miserable work. It's not fun. It feels like absolute crap. But that's what training to failure is. It's not no pain, no gain. I don't agree with that either. But it is fatiguing the muscle so much that it cannot physically continue to contract. Knowing when to rest. So, do you know when to rest? Do you know when you're overtraining? Do you know when your body is fatiguing versus when it's tired versus when you're being lazy, right? So, when you start to fatigue, recovery is such a big part of this thing, right? So you have to know when to recover. You have to know when to take a rest. Are you deloading when it starts to get stale and awful and you're not seeing the results and every workout you feel like you're dreading? That's when it's probably time to deload for a little bit. Could be a week, could be 2 weeks. You don't want to deload so much in the beginning that you lose track of everything. Like, you shouldn't be deloading every 4 weeks. Certainly not. And if you are, because you have to, it means you're training way too hard, way too often, way too intensely. I'd say deload a normal amount of time, 8 to 12 weeks. You don't have to, but if you feel like your body needs it, fine. Like when I'm running, if I'm really in a hard phase, well, I deload every 4 weeks when I run because running's differently. But like complete deload as in stop running, probably every 6 months. And I'll take a week where I'll stop running. In terms of weight training, that deload week doesn't have to mean that you don't lift. It just might mean that you lift less weights, like just go through the movements, but lift less. So if you're benching 100 kilos, just bench 60 and just go through the movements. Nutrition is a big one. Nutrition. You're not going to get anywhere if your nutrition is crap. You're just not. And I will say to anyone who is starting out their journey, cheat days are not a must. People who tell you that you should have a cheat day once a week, just don't, especially in the beginning, because you can undo an entire week in a day. And you could gain 1 pound to 2 pounds of body fat in a day if you do really silly stuff. It's so possible. And, it's just not worth it. Because in the beginning, especially, for every cheat day you have, you will set yourself back a week. So if you are consistent for 2 weeks and then you have a big cheat day, you're going to set yourself back a week. If you're continuously having cheat days every week, you're probably not going to see any kind of progress because you haven't put enough money in the bank for your body to bounce back from that. When you're maintaining, after you've been on your journey for a while, then maybe you could start introducing cheat days. But I really recommend that if you're starting out or if you're not seeing the results, take those cheat days out. Like, everything in moderation, right? But if you're really serious about seriously dramatic results, then you need to be serious about the work that you put in. So there's that. So those are the basics, right? You've got your technique, your time under tension, your training to failure, not every time, your knowing when to rest, your recovery, your nutrition. Now, the next thing that people, and this is the problem with like infomercials and people trying to sell you something. How long have you been really doing it? Okay? So for me, I have been working out for 20 years. 25 years, really. But only in the past 5-10 years have I gotten really serious about it. And only in the past 5 years have I gotten really consistent about it. So if you're wanting to look impressive, like really impressive, and you get your dramatic results and you're just starting out, it's going to take you longer than a year. It's going to take you longer than a year. People who say you can do it in 30 days, 90 days, even 6 months, they're trying to sell you something. Yes, will you see results? Absolutely. Will they be incredibly dramatic? Probably not. And this is where genetics does come into play. If you are a genetic freak, then maybe. But be prepared for it to take over a year. For me, it took me 3, 4, 5 years of absolute consistency to get to where I am now from where I was. And it's not like, again, it's not sexy. It's not flashy. I eat the same thing pretty much every day. And that works for me. And is it something that I can sustain? Yes, because I enjoy the foods that I eat. But I also am now in a place where if I wanted to have something that wasn't part of what I normally have, I can. But it's not going to derail me so much that it throws me back to the beginning. So you will see changes in the beginning, absolutely, of course, but they're not going to be the be-all, end-all, life-changing results that you want them to be until much further down the track. So you've got to be prepared for that. You've got to be prepared that it's going to take a while. So if you fall, if you're training, if you're eating well, and you're falling off the wagon here and there, of course, it's going to affect your journey. If you're having those cheat days, it's going to affect you, especially in the beginning. It's going to add up. And you will not be as fit as you would have been without falling off or without doing the cheat meals or this. So, 6 months down the track, a year down the track, if you're having cheat meals every week, or you're not as consistent as you should be in the gym, you're not going to be where you could have been if you were. I mean, that obviously makes sense, right? But not a lot of people think of it that way. It's like, I'm going to have this cheat meal. Well, what if you don't? What if you don't have that cheat meal and you just stick to your guns and have the good food? I'm not saying that cheat meals can't come eventually. I'm not saying that rest days and just days where you don't go to the gym can't come eventually. But you've got to have some kind of discipline in the beginning to stay consistent and stay on the wagon. Because the more you do that, the more you are regaining and losing fitness. As in regaining weight, regaining fat, and you're losing fitness. And it might not sort of make much of a difference 1 or 2 times. But if you're regaining and losing fitness over and over and over throughout the year, that is going to add up to the point where it's canceling all the hard work out. So keep consistent for as long as you can, and you will see the results better and better and better and better. That's what fitness is about sometimes. Sometimes it's about how long can I go without needing to stop. You have to find something that is consistent for you. I eat the same thing, like I said, almost every day. It's healthy food, but it's also food that I enjoy, and you've got to find that. And it is out there. It is possible. Healthy food doesn't need to be crappy. It doesn't need to be bland. It doesn't need to be horrible. You can get the lean meats, but you can put the seasonings on it, the no-calorie seasonings that aren't going to derail your macros. Now, I'm not one to count calories anymore. I don't generally like counting calories, but you will have an idea of what works and what doesn't, what foods work for you, what foods don't, how much of those foods work for you, if you take the time to do it consistently over time. So, in summary, it is not easy. There is no magic pill to see the results or why you aren't progressing, but you have to look within yourself to understand why that is. You can't blame genetics or drugs or people with personal chefs and money. You can't blame anything else but what it is that you're doing. I hear it all the time. These pants are too small. No, they are not. The pants are not too small. They are inanimate. This workout is too hard. No, it is not. Maybe it's not the workout for you, but it's not the workout. It's you. You have to figure out what works for you. You have to figure out why the pants aren't fitting. If you want a 32-inch waist and a 32-inch waist pant is not fitting you, is it because you've had too many cookies? Is it because 32-inch waist isn't realistic for your frame, which is possible, because you also have to look at that. That's where genetics come in. Doesn't mean that you can't have a great-looking physique. There is no magic number. And it will take time. It will absolutely take time. It's going to take time, the more you can accept that, the better off you'll be. Don't expect it to take a couple of months and think that you're going to be absolute Henry Cavill, Chris Hemsworth, Brad Pitt, whatever. I don't know, Brad Pitt isn't really relevant anymore, but don't compare yourself to other people. Your body will be the best that it can be if you give yourself the chance. That's the other thing. It's like, if you're aiming to look specifically like someone else and it's not happening, don't let that derail you, because you're never going to look like someone else. You're going to look like you, whatever that means to you. Don't look for the easy way out. There is no easy way out. You want this physique. You want this fitness level. You want to be able to do this thing. There is no easy way out. There is no magic pill. There is no secret formula. It is hard work. It is consistency. It is putting the time in. It is getting more days right than getting days wrong. Now, I will end with this. And I started with this. You may have been on a fitness journey for a long time, and you might not have seen the results that you want. I was 20 years into my fitness and wondering why I was not seeing the result. I was like, dude, I work out all the time. I eat healthy. I do this, I do that. Why do I not have the six-pack abs, the muscles, the this, the that? It's because A, I wasn't training smart. B, I wasn't training consistently. I would go 2-3 months hard and then 3-4 months slack. So it's that consistency. So what I'm trying to say is that if you haven't seen the results that you want, chances are it has not been enough time, or you have not developed the consistent attitude to do it, or you just haven't had the consistent habits long enough. So if you haven't been doing it consistently for at least a year or two, be prepared to not be seeing the results that you want. And sometimes you'll have to do it more. Sometimes you will have to do it more. But if you haven't, then I can guarantee you that you haven't actually unlocked the potential for the best possible outcome for your body. So I hope that helps. I hope that sheds some light on some things, and I hope that it does not make it too scary for you, because the journey is worth it. I tell you what, the journey is worth it, because you will get to a point where you absolutely you're proud of what you are. You will always want to be better. That is human nature. But you are proud of what you are, what you become. And maybe you're already there, and that's great. But if you're not, look at these things and figure out why. Because there is a reason. Nobody can... No, if you're consistent enough, there are, of course, extreme exceptions. But if you want to get in shape and into the body of your dreams, it's possible. It's absolutely possible. Does that look like Henry Cavill's body? No. Does it look like the best version of yourself? Absolutely. So, again, I hope that doesn't scare you, but that's what fitness is. It is hard work. It is doing it more right than wrong. So look, if you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that notifications bell, ding, ding. Follow me on Melbourne Superman on Instagram. And look, thank you so much for watching. I hope your fitness journey is going well. If you are interested in PT, you can email me at melbournesuperman@gmail.com. I take virtual clients on, as well as life coaching clients as well. So look, thanks again so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.